Greg Cruey, and I want to talk to you today about the task of submitting evidences in the teacher evaluation process in West Virginia. And I have my evaluation page open in Weavis Wow to the evidence page, and I'm looking at element 1.1. Um, and I'm going through what I'm going to do here under the 14 elements is the ones that I feel like that I need to add evidence on. I'm going to go through and I'm going to type in some text here. I have up to 5,000 characters to describe something that I have in this category, some data or some material that I could bring to a session. One of the questions that gets asked most often is, do we really enter evidence into Weavis Wow as part of this evaluation process? And the answer to that is no. You just create a record showing that evidence exists. You note that you have evidence that you could bring to a conference. You describe that evidence. So I've written here, this is the standard on curriculum and planning. Element 1.1, the teacher demonstrates a deep and extensive knowledge of the subject matter. I've opened up the rubric here. I've clicked on the word rubric and the rubric opened up over here. And I'm looking at accomplished, and it says demonstrates extensive content knowledge, connects student learning to the content areas. This is one of the most interesting elements because content knowledge, if I'm a first grade teacher, is not my ability to do first grade math and to perform at a certain level in first grade reading. That would be silly. Content knowledge is how well I know the standards that I'm supposed to be teaching. So I've written here and I've said that I attended trainings on the next gen standards that we're now using this year for the first year as part of the Common Core, and that the training was helpful to me in understanding the rubric. And I've checked anecdotal records. I might could put something under another area down here, collaboration with stakeholders if there were other people there. I don't know, but anecdotal records seems to make the most sense to me on that. And this is a professional document, so I've looked at it and tried to be sure that I wrote in full sentences. I didn't just put a bullet and say training, because the person reading it, my evaluator, doesn't know for sure what that meant. That means I've written in full sentences. I've made sure my punctuation is correct and all my words are spelled properly. You get the idea. Do I have to enter evidence? The answer to that is no. Never, never. No one can make you enter evidence if you decide you don't want to. You're evaluated on your job performance as defined by the professional standards, not on how well you participate in this evaluation process per se. There are elements down later under the standards that deal with professional growth and participation in a learning community where you could be penalized if you just refuse. But they couldn't penalize me here just because I didn't enter evidence. Should I enter evidence? Yes, oh yes. Why, when? You should enter evidence because entering evidence will improve your rating on your evaluation. Entering evidence is the only way to get a distinguished rating on an element. If you rate yourself as accomplished on your self-reflection and your evaluator thinks you're only emerging, you will be rated as emerging unless you enter evidence to convince your evaluator that you are accomplished. So yes, you should enter evidence. Is there any other time to enter evidence? Yes, definitely. If your evaluator rates you as unsatisfactory on an element, you will have the opportunity to enter evidence to show that you are not unsatisfactory. Entering that evidence could change your evaluator's mind and keep you from being put on some type of a corrective action plan. Let's talk about when not to collect evidence. When you rate yourself on your self-reflection as emerging or accomplished, and your evaluator agrees with you, there's no reason to run around trying to gather up evidence to prove what you both agree on. Your evaluator is not going to require that evidence of you if you agree. And, as a teacher, you're busy enough. You don't have to go try and spend time collecting evidence you don't need. You also want to collect evidence maybe in response to observations. If you're in your first 5 years of teaching, you're going to be observed, and you should look at your observation forms and decide whether they're a complete picture. If there's something important that you feel like your evaluator didn't see, you may want to go collect evidence in response to that observation. If your evaluator said something on the observation form that you disagree with, you may want to go collect evidence to show that that's not true. There are a lot of categories through here that you can collect evidence in. You can show student work. You can show information about working with parents. You can show some sort of a portfolio. You can bring in things about technology integration. There are lots of areas that you can bring evidence in on. It's important to note that on an element like this, where there's so many possible ways to demonstrate knowledge of your subject matter, that no one piece of evidence is probably going to make or break you on that. The one that I've put here shows that I had the chance to learn about it, but it really doesn't show that I have demonstrated it per se. And the one that I've entered is really only meaningful if I also add in things like student work or portfolio or what I'm doing in interventions. Why is entering evidence important? The new teacher evaluation system makes teachers more responsible for their own evaluations. Think of it as something like a portfolio. You actually get to participate now. We all know that under the old Policy 5310 evaluation system, teachers were very passive. And your principal came in, they observed you, they rated you, and then they talked about it. Now it's more of a collaboration. Now it's more of an interaction. Last thing, always remember, go down to the bottom. There are 3 of these little scroll bars. You have to get all the way to the bottom and click Save, because until you save your work, you haven't done anything. And if you leave the page without saving your work, nothing happens.